And joining us now with more on Ben Gvir's new position and the coalition that is starting to take form is Traiman, Jerusalem Bureau Chief of JNS, the Jewish News Syndicate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
So it seems that after a few weeks, there's been a breakthrough in coalition negotiations. I want to get to Ben Gvir in a moment, but first, what can you tell us about the ongoing negotiations? Who else has signed on or is on the verge of signing on?
Well, it looks like Otzma Yehudit, led by Itamar Ben Gvir, has already signed an agreement, and there seems to be agreement also with the Shas party, led by Aryeh Deri. And the hopes are that the other two parties, United Torah Judaism and the Religious Zionist Party, led by Bezalel Smotrich, could sign in the coming days.
And so what can you tell us about Aryeh Deri? What ministries is Shas looking to take on?
Well, Shas is looking to get the Interior Ministry, which would be led by Deri. Also, they're looking at the Health Ministry. They're also looking for the Religious Affairs Ministry, as well as the Periphery Ministry.
So a lot of ministries going on to Shas, supposedly. What about Bezalel Smotrich, Religious Zionism? He has been the main obstacle to forming a coalition, demanding the Defense Ministry or the Finance Ministry. Will he come around, get off his high horse, so to speak, and get back to the negotiating table?
Well, I think there's been ongoing negotiations. There's a lot of bluster. This is the time in which Smotrich probably has the greatest amount of leverage that he'll have in this government, and he's certainly using it to get maximum assurances from the Likud party. He's likely to be the finance minister in the next government. I don't think that he'll become the defense minister. Looks like probably that will stay within the Likud, as with the foreign ministry, with Yoav Gallant probably the most likely candidate of being the defense minister.
And yet we see that the Likud, Netanyahu, is handing out quite a lot of ministries. There are reports coming in today that there is some resentment within the Likud as to its coalition partners and their large appetites, for these top ministries. What do you make of this?
Well, again, this is a lot of bluster, and certainly there are many parties and also ministers or Knesset members within the Likud that want to get the highest possible appointments. Note that there are going to be 64 Knesset members that are part of the coalition. There's going to be close to 30 ministries. And then on top of that, there are many chairmanships available for Knesset committees. So I do think that there are enough positions to go around. And, right now, this is the time of the horse trading in Israeli politics. But once these agreements are signed, and I think that will happen during this week, then I think you'll start to see everybody sort of settle down and start getting to work.
And yet, what ministries are going to stay within the Likud, other than the Defense Ministry and the Foreign Ministry? What other top ministries is Netanyahu looking to keep for his own people?
Also, the Justice Ministry will probably remain within the Likud, and then are the smaller ministries, and there's a lot of them. And it's really just a question of what Netanyahu is forced to give over to the other parties in the process of the negotiations. Remember that the Likud has 32 seats out of the 64 in the coalition, with the other 32 belonging to the other three parties. So there are many within the Likud that want the maximum number of ministries to stay with members of the Likud, and many of them have worked for many years to try to climb up the ladder and to get those ministries. But this is a negotiations process, and there's probably no better master of these negotiations than Netanyahu, and he'll do what is needed in order to get his coalition members in line, and also to keep the members of his own party reasonably happy.
Now, I do want to go back to Itamar Ben Gvir. A new ministry was created just for him. We've just heard that there's been some criticism of this new role, saying it's dangerous for Israel's security. Is this the case? Has Netanyahu given too much power over to Ben Gvir?
Well, Ben Gvir demanded to get the public security ministry even in advance of the election, and it's been clear since day one that Netanyahu was prepared to give him that ministry. In terms of, what are the roles of the different ministries, I think Netanyahu is doing his best to try to carve out responsibilities that balance the demands of his various potential coalition partners.
But I want to stop you for a second, because yes, Ben-Gvir has said that he wanted the public ministry from the onset, but what we're seeing here, to my understanding, is sort of an expanded role of that ministry. Netanyahu has given him more leverage, more power within the public security ministry than is traditionally given. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's because the defense ministry traditionally handles, Judea and Samaria, while the National Security Ministry handles inside of Israel proper. And Ben-Gvir, representing the Otzma Yehudit party and living himself in Hebron, is taking has greater demands to affect security inside of Judea and Samaria. And in fact, that's one of the big issues of the coalition negotiations in general, is whether or not the so-called settlements in Judea and Samaria would be regulated and come under traditional Israeli law and stop being administered more exclusively by the defense ministry. I don't think this is a very big shift in terms of balance of power and Ben-Gvir getting too much power. I mean, you have to remember that Ben-Gvir running together with Bezalel Smotrich did rise tremendously in the polls and got 14 seats, making them the third largest party in the Knesset and the second largest party in the government until those factions split up. So he does have a tremendous amount of popular support right now. And in general, the popular support was because of his security policies that he ran on. And so I think Netanyahu is prepared to give him the authority to put policies into motion. Whether he'll be able to do that is a different question. I mean, the police and the other internal ministry agencies, have been running for years, and they're hard-fought bureaucracies. And it'll be interesting to see if Ben-Gvir actually succeeds in moving the dial with regard to Israeli security.
All right, well, coalition talks underway, and we will keep following until a new government is formed. Alex Traiman, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you so much.